Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the J Group Real Estate Podcast StreamYard show. Today we are with Frank Dippold. A little intro bio about Frank. Frank is a mortgage professional. He's been in the industry over 20 years. He's closed over $1 billion in mortgage loans. Phenomenal. Today we're going to talk about a couple of programs that he's come up with, and how he helps not only realtors, but how he helps their clients to achieve wealth and be able to retire in real estate. So Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself and the programs you offer, and we'll just start with that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So I've been in the mortgage business since 2001. I actually started buying and selling real estate in the mid 90s, right? I'm showing my age. And I kind of stumbled upon the real estate, purchase world. And then in 2001, I was in the telecom business, and that sort of imploded. And many people don't ever join the mortgage business like on purpose. You don't go to college to study it. But I found myself at this place in Edison, New Jersey, and the guy said, if you give me loans, I'll pay you. And I gave him a couple loans and he paid me. And I was like, wow, this is easy. I can do this.
Right.
It's actually much less easy now. But so I was in it, and then I realized that there was money there, and I also realized early on that America had a problem with savings and retirement, and America didn't have as much of that as they needed. So we'll talk later about the velocity of money, but that it kind of started early when I was looking at helping homeowners, and I was like, wow, man, America's really doesn't do a good job of saving. And so by 2004, I started my own company. By 2006, I had 150 loan officers working for me. And by 2008, I was writing checks for $1 million just to keep the company open. And we went out of business anyway. So,
oh my goodness.
I've been, it sounds awesome that I've been, involved in a few $1 billion worth of loans. I've personally written over 6,000 loans. So we were laughing last night because I went to happy hour with some people on my team, and it's definitely dog years. Like one mortgage year is 7. It's exhausting. That's why the people that are really good at it can help. And then that's why you see a lot of people in the mortgage business and then out of the mortgage business when times get tough.
Got it. Now, you said that it's much less easy right now. Like what has made it much less easy these days to actually originate loans or close a loan, however you want to say it?
So, yeah, it's funny because people ask me a lot. They're like, is it hard to get, 2007 and 8 caused the sentiment that it was hard to get mortgages, right? So this literally goes back to 1929 in the stock market crash when, the savings and loan crisis, the savings company, the banks were like, hey, pay your house off in full. There was no clause that allowed for people to not get foreclosed on. Now there is. FDR signed this thing saying that as long as people pay on time, they're always going to get they're never going to get foreclosed on. The reason I'm telling this story is because the negative sentiment about mortgages literally started then because grandma and great grandma thought mortgages were bad, right? Pay it off as soon as possible. And I don't believe that America understands that mortgages should be used as a financial tool to create wealth, which is what the velocity money is. Now, to go back to your question, everyone, especially since 2007, 2008, we're like, well, is it hard to get people loans? And I'm like, not really. If you have a job, right, and you're a W-2 employee, it's a very simple formula we use. Take the gross income. We can go up to 45 or 49% of their gross income and get them a loan. When you're self-employed, it's different because, the CPA is the hero for the self-employed business owner that doesn't want to pay Uncle Sam, right? And then when they bring me their tax returns and I'm like, you don't qualify for anything, then they hate their CPA. So I'm like, Now, but what we do is we coach a lot of CPAs and a lot of borrowers on what to show in order to qualify. So I don't believe it's hard to get loans because we help coach people along. What's tricky in this market right now is the interest rate environment, right? Because I'll touch on that without getting too complicated. The bond market, Wall Street, buys Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae loans. And typically, they buy it at a premium because loans stay on the books for 5 or 6 years, and there's an amount of money they make on the yield on the loans, and they pay a decent premium. That premium is used to run mortgage companies, pay loan officer commissions. Now, because they skyrocketed so quickly, they're paying 60, 70% less for these loans than they were before, and mortgage companies are still trying to pay for their overhead and their commissions, and the homeowner doesn't care about that. But the problem lies in the fact that if you're not a perfect borrower, Fannie Mae imposes hits on the interest rate. So if you have a 740 credit score and you're putting 25% down, you're good. But if you have a 680 credit score and you're putting 5% down, there might be 2.5 points in hits on that loan. Now, the 2.5 points was usually absorbed by Wall Street, who paid a premium for the loan, and we could just sell the loan and make up for those losses, and everybody's happy. Nobody knows anything. Now, because they're not paying a premium, we have to forward some of the cost to do that loan onto the borrower because they're not a perfect borrower, and they don't understand.
That is so interesting. So basically, borrowers these days are getting penalized for not having a perfect credit score and perfect down payment.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like, yes, but then you go into like FHA loans, which are not penalizing as much for credit score. So, and you get better interest rate with not as good of a credit score. So, I mean, the bottom line is the climate is so strange right now. Like I feel really confident in my ability to look at interest rates, look at a rate sheet, look at a borrower, figure out how to get them in the home. And there's been times this year on many occasions where I'm staring at the screen and I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to price this.
I don't know what to do.
I don't even know what to do. And if I don't know what to do, then I don't know what other loan officers are doing. But so it's stabilized a little bit now. But the bottom line is people just have to get used to having to pay a point or 1.5 for an interest rate right now, where we never had to do that before. And it's temporary because we're going to see a recession because there's all the indices say that. And when there's a recession, then the Fed's going to go the other way and they're going to start pushing rates back down. And when they come back down, if you find the house you like, buy it, and we'll refi you in 1.5 years or 2 years. It's not the end of the world. The crazy part is, do you know what the stat is? How long the average homeowner is in a conventional loan for?
Ooh, let me guess. 12 months, 1 year.
Yeah, not as good as that, but 4.2 years.
Oh, wow.
Is the average length of a 30-year fixed mortgage.
Interesting.
Now, let me ask you another question, and then we'll get back to you interviewing me. Actually, let me make a comment first. I love one of my coworkers put this on the internet a couple weeks ago. They said, you buy the home, marry the home, and date the rate.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, date the rate because they get out of it anyway. And then if people have 150 or 200 grand in equity with the velocity money, I show them how to take some of that equity and buy a vacation rental, or something like that, and use the money wisely to create wealth, which is the important part of creating wealth using mortgages.
I love it. So let's talk about velocity of money. What is that?
So that's a program that I wrote in 2018. I started doing live seminars pre-COVID, and it was so much fun. And basically, at the Velocity Money, there's 3 groups of people in the room. There's first-time home buyers, there's current homeowners, and there's real estate investors. Sometimes realtors will meet me and they'll be like, oh yeah, you're the guy that teaches investors. I'm like, no, it's actually the opposite. I really don't want the investors. I'll publicly say that because they have their own way of doing things. They have bad habits. They have weird ways of doing things. What we want is the first-time home buyers and the people who currently own a home. The first-time home buyers, I created a couple programs, one called 3, 2, 1 and Done, which shows people how to buy a 3-family, a 2-family, and a 1-family, all using owner-occupied loans. Then I created another in areas like maybe Arizona where there's not as many multifamilies. I created another program called Single Family Fast Track, which shows people how to buy a few single families and turn them into rentals. Now, people everybody in America wants to buy real estate, right? But they don't know where to begin. And they're like, oh, there's no good deals, right? In 1973, when my father bought his house in Livingston, New Jersey, my grandfather told him he was crazy because he was paying $27,000 for the house.
Oh my
All right?
gosh.
You're nuts. You'll never be able to afford this, right? So it is relative. So the beauty of velocity of money is it's based on a premise that I call yield. Yield is your cash flow. If you have the cash flow percentage that I teach, then everything else with real estate falls into place. And so if a house is 400, 375, 525, it doesn't matter, because if it has the yield, it's a good investment. If it has the yield, you'll get paid off in 15 or 20 years using my formula. And it's not, a get rich quick scheme. It's a structured, fixed assignment that if I show people to follow, they cannot fail. They just have to follow the formula.
So let's put that in layman's terms. When you're talking about yield, let's give like a real life, for instance. So let's say, for instance, one of your realtors you're working with is helping the client purchase a home for $400,000. They're putting, let's say, 5% down. They're doing a conventional loan, and their mortgage payment all in with, principal, interest, mortgage insurance. Well, they would have mortgage insurance, taxes, HOA dues, all of that. Let's say that they're all in $2,500. I'm just making up a number because I don't know.
Sure.
And so what would they have to make in rent to have a good yield, a good percentage? What does that look like?
So my percentage that I start at is 13.5% or more. So the answer to the question is it depends on the down payment, right? So if that property has $3,000 in rent and $2,500 in mortgage, and it's making $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year in profit, right? If somebody only put down $25,000 total, right? You divide the $6,000 in profit into the $25,000, right? And it's approximately a 22% yield. Right. So
I got to get out my calculator because I'm not good with math in my head.
Nobody is. I have a problem. I wake up at 1 a.m. and I see numbers all night long. It's not great for my marriage either, because my wife's a light sleeper.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
did you say 12,000 divided by 6? What was that number again?
No, I said, so if they put 25,000 down.
Okay. 25,000.
Right, all in for 25,000, and it makes 6,000 a year.
Oops, I think we lost you.
And I think 6 times 4 is 24, right?
Yeah, 24%.
So, yeah. So it goes in. I think it's actually 21 or 22%.
Okay.
Right, because it's actually like 25%. So here's the best part, and this is counterintuitive a lot of times. Well, two counterintuitive thoughts. The first one is the less you put down, the higher the yield, right? Because if you put down $100,000, then you have a lot more that you have to make work. So people think the opposite. Well, if I put more down, no, it's actually the opposite. So my highest yields come from the lower down payment loans, which is great, because what we're doing is we're teaching a homeowner to live in that house for a year. It's not your dream home yet, right? Is real estate an asset or a liability? It's a trick question. It's both.
It's both. Okay. I was going to be like, okay, this is a trick question. Which one do I say?
Well, let me give you the answer. So here's why it's a trick question. Because everybody thinks equity in their home is an asset. Equity in your home is not an asset. If you're living in a home and you have $200,000 in equity, it's actually, inflation right now is 9.1%. It's actually losing money. You're not doing anything with the equity. The asset comes from when a property spits off income. So when you turn that house that you live in for a year into a rental property and it spits off income, that's an asset. The home that we live in, that you and I have to go to work to pay for, that's a liability, right? Got it. Robert Kiyosaki says the definition of wealth is when your passive investments, your assets, spit off enough income to pay your bills at home, right? So that's what I love talking about. So let's take that homeowner let's take that homeowner and say, you're going to live in this house a year, but you're going to analyze the yield based on when you move out in year 2, and we're going to turn this thing into a rental, and then you're going to know exactly what it's going to do for you before you even buy it. And if it doesn't have 13.5% yield or more, guess what? You're not allowed to look at the property.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. I know that there's a lot that goes into this, and I know people that are listening right now are probably very interested in learning how they can do this. And I know that in one of your videos I watched, you talked about helping people to earn $10,000 to $15,000 a month in passive income in a very relatively short period of time. So how does one get started with you and having you teach them these tools?
Well, that's a great question. So I have one-on-one coaching that I do with people, which is pricey but worth millions of dollars. I have group coaching that I do with people, or if they just want to be a regular mortgage client, I spend a minimum of a half-hour consultation with them, educate them, make them understand what they can afford right now, like typical mortgage people do, but then spend 15 minutes kind of going through some of my theories, right? And then giving an idea based on the area that they live, what yield means, how it works. So we created this thing called Power 4, the 4 quadrants of real estate investing. If people just learn that from me, then they can get their properties and they're going to be in good shape. So did I ask you the question, how many properties do we need in order to retire with 12 to 15,000 a month in cash flow?
You did not ask that question. How many properties do we need, Frank?
How many do you think we need?
If I had to take a wild guess, I would guess 6.
Good. And it depends on the region, right? It depends on the area. But my answer is 3.
Really?
Yeah. Now, that's after the loans are paid off. So we use the bank's money to buy the property. That's me. There's no other mortgage people in the whole country. I'm the only one. And then you use the tenant's money to pay off the property. And the goal is you take 30-year fixed mortgage and you have your tenants with the right yield, right? We're going to take about half the extra cash flow, pay it towards the mortgage, take the other half, leave it for a rainy day to make sure that the house, needs repairs or whatever. So the other aspect of the counterintuitive nature is when people learn velocity of money, they get so excited, and I show them the math, and I show them they're going to have 12 to 15,000. And a lot of people in America, what do? Is they squirrel. They go from the $300,000 property or the $400,000 property, and they find one for $87,000. And they're like, yeah, but it's safer. I'm like, it's actually going to cost you money. Here's why. Number one, I wouldn't do a property unless it had $500 a month or more in cash flow. To me, you're getting a loan, you're putting money down, you're dealing with a tenant, whatever you're doing. If it doesn't have $500 in cash flow, forget it. Not worth it. That's number one. Number two, think about this for a minute. If we buy a property for $87,000 and say real estate goes up 4% a year, every year, in 18 years, that property doubles. What would that $87,000 property be worth 18 years later? 190 grand, right? That's boring.
That is boring.
Like,
I want to know where can you even buy a property for that much?
I know. Well, listen, believe it or not. So there's, there are places. I have clients call me all the time because, when we got pretty big on TikTok, we get calls from all over the country. So yeah, believe me, there is. But if you buy something for 400, right? And that 400 doubles in 18 years. Now you have an $800,000 asset. So think about this. Let me paint a picture for a minute. It's exciting. Let me paint this picture. Imagine you're 29 years old. You're renting right now, and you're interested in real estate, but you don't really know where to begin. You meet Jalen and I, and we're going to help you. And I say, okay, I'm going to show you how to buy 3 properties in 3 years. It's going to be $1 million plus worth of real estate for $50,000 or less out of pocket total. And even if you only have 12 or 15, we'll show you how to get your first one, save the cash flow for the next one. Now you got 3 properties under your belt. 18 years later, The $1.2 million in real estate we just bought is now worth $2.4 million. It's totally paid off. You have $12,000 to $15,000 a month in cash flow. And what did I ask you to invest? $50,000 once.
Right.
In my seminars, when I compare that to 401k, 529, savings account, annuities, all these things, there is no financial planner in the country that can compete with my formula, hands down. Why? Because it's the power and the leverage of the bank's money. Meaning, if I have $100,000, I could buy $1 million worth of real estate. But if I have $100,000 with a financial planner, it's $100,000. So
Right.
it's the leverage of the play, and that's why a gentleman named Donald Trump was president, because he understood how to use the bank's money to create wealth.
I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is it's a much better investment to do your program, invest in real estate, than it is to say plant your money into some sort of financial instrument like an IRA or, stock accounts or whatever.
Yeah, not even close. Because so this is one of my slides. Ready? Let's do the math. If you had $100,000 in an investment, right, an annuity or whatever, and you earn 5%, right? At the end of that year, you have $105,000, right? But with my formula, if you invested $100,000, let's just say we got $1 million worth of real estate. If that real estate went up 5% a year, that's $50,000 gain on the same $100,000 investment. So, and my play is not an appreciation play. In my Power 4, it's yield, right? Cash flow. That's box 1. Box 2 is yield plus amortization, which is the tenant paying the loan off for you. Box 3 is a tool called depreciation, how to write off things properly without crushing your tax returns, making you eligible for more loans. And then 4 is appreciation. That's a bonus. But then we teach people how to put it in a trust to create generational wealth for their children and grandchildren.
This is all so very exciting. And I personally am really looking forward to sitting down with you one-on-one and finding out how I can use your strategies and methods to, kind of add on to what I'm already doing. But for the beginner investor, somebody who doesn't really have any money saved up, where would you suggest they start?
Yeah, so you need a little bit of seed money. You don't need a ton. I'm going to show my age now. There was a guy named Carlton Sheets, literally in the 90s. Did you remember him?
No.
I don't know if he used to do these like infomercials, and it was like, no money down, like knock on people's doors, ask them to hold the note, don't even get a loan, you don't need credit. Okay, so here's what I'll say. In America, we need credit, we need a job. You don't have to have a ton of money, but you have to have a little bit of money, right? We could do conventional loans with 3% down. We could do FHA loans with 3.5% down. So I don't care, America, if you have to get a second job. I don't care if you have to cut grass on the weekends. Save your first down payment. Life will never be the same. So with 3 or 3.5% down, we can maybe do a seller concession for closing costs, right? Roll in the closing costs. And then we're off to the races. So a little bit of money, not a ton of money. It could be a gift. Mom, dad, grandma, brother, and sister. Gifts are allowed with conventional loans or FHA as long as it's family. And then basically what we do is we do a consultation with that homeowner or homeowner and spouse, and we tell them where they're at. And that's the other thing is people feel insecure about their savings, about where their credit is, about what's going on in their lives. But between you and I, my programs and your programs, we can help get them into homes. Even if they're not ready in this very moment, we can give them the coaching to get them to where they need to be.
That is amazing. You've given us such great information. I'm so excited to sit down and learn more. So how does somebody reach out to you? What is the best way to reach you?
I'm going to give you 2 things, email and phone number. Email is viploans@teamdippold.com. So like very important people, loans@teamdippold.com. And the office line, 973-869-2730, 2730. My staff's always here. We gather information. We set up a loan consultation call. We rock and roll. My goal is to help 10,000 people retire using real estate. And I'm not going to stop until we do. And it's not as hard as everybody thinks. And with partnerships like yours, we can help a lot of people.
That is amazing. Let me see real quick if I can add a banner with your information on there. Let's see here. Can you give me that phone number again, Frank?
973-869
869
2730.
2730. Kind of new to this StreamYard thing, so I'm not sure exactly what I can do, what I can't do. Let's see, scroll across ticker. Let's see if that works. Banner show. There we go.
Oh,
yay!
Look at you. How fancy.
Here's Frank's phone number.
You want to do the email too?
Sure. Let's see, edit. Okay, what was your email again?
VIP loans.
VIP loans.
At Team
Dippold.
DIPPOLD.com.
Okay, this is so cool. I'm going to use this for next time.
Yeah, it is cool.
Okay, scroll across banner, save, show. There we go, you guys. There's all the information scrolling below. Here's how to reach out to Frank. And please mention that you saw this information on the J Group Real Estate Show, the podcast. And I would love to know, how many viewers are actually seeing this and going to ask for your help, Frank.
Awesome. And also check us out on TikTok at The Velocity of Money. And I do, I was moving to Florida over the last 10 days, so I didn't do any videos, but we just recorded 6 videos today. I do lots of videos with market updates and all sorts of fun stuff that I'm teaching on TikTok. So go in and join our TikTok group. How is it?
What is your TikTok username?
It's The Velocity of Money, right? TikTok or just Velocity Money? No, it's Velocity of Money.
Velocity.
And you'll see all my videos.
Money. Okay, I'm gonna add that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Velocity of Money on TikTok.
Save show. Okay, and there is his TikTok.
Love it. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Thank you again so much, Frank. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and the week, and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
All right. Thank you, Jaylyn.
Take care.
Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.